Hi everybody, this is the Football Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hunt, and this is another visit to the insane asylum, even though they tried to make it seem like they were being funny, known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha, they're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny part.
So welcome back to the Football Hut, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. WFAN has had over the years many millions of callers calling them up. Most of them are the same people time and time again, starting from the very beginning. They have like a group of callers that call on a regular basis, like I said, and they basically have the same rant. Now, Mike Francesca, who was on fan for many years, decades, when he got to be by himself, solo act, he would get these prank callers. And I always thought that they were putting on the audience because they would bring in these people. How could they fool the screen calls? But they always did. And they would get through. And we know the most famous one is the New York Giants, San Francisco Giants picnic guy. Called up and said, when the San Francisco Giants are in town, do they have a picnic with the New York Giants? Some tradition that goes back to when the baseball Giants were in New York. Well, Francesca didn't think it was funny, and to be honest with you, it was very funny. But a couple days ago, Eli Manning, who actually has some talent beyond the football field and a sense of humor, believe it or not, did a skit with the New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants, and Francesca walks in on their little party, and it's pretty funny. But WFAN has to get into this to make themselves relevant. And they tracked down the guy, the caller. And you realize the caller, he ain't that funny. I think he really thought this back many years ago. This happened in 2014. And they tried to get him to, I don't know, say something goofy on there, and he just wasn't. It was just awkward. And he didn't want to really deal with them, and it was just a very strange situation. I think this guy was not pranking anybody. I think he thought this was the truth. My opinion. This is from Awful Announcing. Headline: Infamous Mike Francesca prank caller has awkward calls with current WFAN hosts and pretty much lightweights. I'm an 8-time consecutive class clown. I'm here for humor. End quote. Okay, let's see. Over the past few days, an infamous WFAN caller known to the sport world simply as Dan Warwick returned to prominence over 10 years after originally dumbfounding Mike Francesca during a call in 2014. While some callers seemingly loved the fame that often comes with viral radio appearances, Dan Warwick seemingly couldn't have cared less that popped back up in the sports landscape. I don't think he really cared. I think most normal people don't care. But I think he really believed that was happening. Anyway, in 2014, Francesca received a call on his past WFAN show, The Mike Francesca Show, from Dan Warwick. He asked whether the New York Giants and the San Francisco Giants regularly meet up despite have no affiliation with each other. Going back to the San Francisco Giants being in New York. Francesca was utterly taken aback by the question, explaining that there is no rational reason why the two Giants franchises would meet up on a regular basis, other than they have the same name, same franchise name. And 10 years later, Dan Warwick is back in the public eye. He is. After the New York Giants marketing team set up a spoof meetup between the two teams over the weekend, while the San Francisco Giants were in town to play the New York Mets and honor the infamous WFAN call. On Monday, Dan Warwick called into two separate WFAN shows. First, the midday show hosted by the Spaz, Sal Licata, and the Coconut Head, Brandon Tierney. And later, the Evan and Tiki show featuring Sean the Spud Marash and Tommy Lugauer, who filled in for Evan Roberts and Tiki Barber. Both calls were far more tense than most would have imagined, with Licata even suggesting that despite voluntarily calling into the show, Dan Warwick seemed to be inconvenienced by his on-air moment being brought to light. A lot of times these guys they call, these are people that can barely get their lives together. They can barely walk from one foot to another foot. Quote, I really don't care to talk to Dan from Warwick, Licata said. via the New York Post. He clearly doesn't seem interested at all. Dan, who couldn't seem less interested in social media fame, his newfound fame, or even talking with us for a few seconds here. I respect that. Good for Dan. He had his prank 10 years ago. He did the job, and that's that. He did what he had to do. One of the most famous calls, if not the most famous prank call to WFN, and doesn't care. God bless him. Well, the second call was equally as abrasive. Sean the Spud Marash brought up how Dan should be honored. This meetup between the Giants organizations was put together all because of a troll that he did over a decade ago. And again, the caller seemingly couldn't have been more disinterested by the Giants meetup. Quote, "This is your day to shine," said the Spud, "because something that you did so long ago that was so brilliant has been paid off by the guy you did it to and the two teams." "How brilliant?" replied Dan. "Really? You calling me brilliant for that call? I was just trolling, Mike Francesca. I'm an 8-time consecutive class clown. I'm here for humor." "Well, you don't sound all that humorous now," said the Spud. He could have said, he could have complained that he should get some money for this. Maybe Dan simply woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or maybe he simply isn't all that proud of his viral moment back in 2014. But either way, it wasn't exactly the return to WFN program that most expected for Dan from more to make all these years later. I think that this guy probably thought, I don't think he was joking. And I think that he's kind of surprised. He said on these calls that he's not on social media much. He didn't know about it. I think someone in his family told him about it and that he should call in. But this guy doesn't sound like a guy that's all that funny. Lying about something and making something up, it doesn't take a lot of effort. It doesn't take that much effort to do stuff like that. You got to have like a long, drawn-out thing. And he just said that they have a picnic together, meet up. It's ridiculous. And the fact that, and here's the thing. This guy should complain that he should get some money off of this. Eli Manning's getting money off of this. Of course he is. Of course he is. He should complain that he deserves some money for this. That it was his idea and they took it and made a goof out of it. He's not getting anything out of this. That should be his complaint. And WFN, these aren't the right people to have him on. You got to have somebody with a lot more, I would say, a better ability to go back and forth with people on the phone. Because most of the time when they call, they don't listen to the callers, or they scream at the callers, and then they move on to the next thing. And then when they have the guest on, they kiss the guest asses, and that's it. So they don't know how to have a conversation, and they're not good at pivoting. They're hoping to get something funny out of the guy, and they didn't get anything out of the guy. And these guys aren't funny. They don't have natural sense of humors. And that's what you got. And this is another episode. This is what you get when you go to the insane asylum. Not everybody is walking around telling you every day of the week. Not everybody's, screaming that they're in horrible, horrible pain. Hopefully not in horrible, horrible pain watching this video. But thank you for watching this video. And this is another visit to the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha, to the funny farm.